Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop chasing someone's approval, something curious happens? Suddenly, people seem more interested. Friends respect you more. Past crushes might even start reaching out. It's almost as if the less available you are, the more others value your presence. Why is that? And what does it really mean to be unattainable in a healthy, psychological sense? Today, we're diving deep into this paradox through the lens of Carl Jung's profound insights. By the end, you'll see how embracing a bit of unattainability, being secure in yourself, not so easily given away, can transform your self-worth, your relationships, and how others see you. Jung's concepts of individuation, the shadow, and archetypes will guide us, along with wisdom from other great minds. First, let's clarify being unattainable. We're not talking about playing mind games or acting arrogant. It's about cultivating an inner wholeness and self-respect so that your worth no longer depends on anyone else. It means you're not always at everyone's beck and call emotionally or socially, and that's a good thing. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius observed, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Think about that. We often invert our self-worth, valuing external opinions above our own inner voice. When you become unattainable in the Jungian sense, you flip this script. You start to honor your own value above the fickle approval of others. Carl Jung believed that true personal growth starts on the inside. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes, he wrote. In other words, as long as we're looking outward, chasing validation, affection, or acceptance, we remain in a kind of dream, at the mercy of others. But when we turn inward, that's when we wake up to who we really are. Jungian psychology encourages us to embark on the journey of individuation, a process of becoming our true, authentic self, distinct from the crowd. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, Jung said. And often becoming who you truly are requires stepping away from trying to please everyone else. Now, think of how this applies to everyday life. Have you ever known someone who always seeks approval, maybe always posting on social media for likes, or bending over backwards to be liked by everyone? That person ends up feeling exhausted and often taken for granted. I want you to imagine a person named Alex. Alex always said yes to every request, covering co-workers' shifts, lending money they didn't have, replying to texts in seconds at 2 a.m., all because Alex feared that setting boundaries might make people leave. But what happened? People didn't value Alex more. If anything, they took Alex for granted. Friends assumed Alex would always be available. Partners lost respect, sensing an insecurity beneath the people-pleasing. One day, Alex hit a breaking point and decided to change. Alex started focusing on personal goals, hitting the gym, learning new skills, and setting boundaries with others. When a text came in late at night, Alex replied in the morning instead. When a friend's request clashed with a prior commitment, Alex politely declined. In essence, Alex became a bit more unattainable. The result? The very same people began to notice and respect Alex's time. Some even became more eager to hang out, sensing that Alex had grown in confidence and self-respect. By not always being available, Alex taught others how to treat them, and it changed everything. Alex's self-worth skyrocketed, and relationships became more balanced. This isn't magic or manipulation, it's psychology. People do tend to value what is rare or requires effort. In social psychology, it's known as the scarcity principle. We assign higher value to things, or people, that aren't easily available. But there's a deeper truth here beyond just playing hard to get. By becoming a little unattainable, what you're really doing is affirming your own worth. You're saying, "My time and energy are valuable." And when you believe that, others often follow suit. As you integrate your shadow and step into your authentic self, something beautiful happens. You start to feel whole. Jung called this process individuation, becoming the indivisible, whole you. You realize you don't actually need someone else to complete you. Any relationship or friendship becomes a choice, not a necessity for your survival. This is incredibly empowering. Instead of coming from a place of lack, "I need someone to value me," you come from a place of abundance. "I am valuable already." And guess what? That energy is palpable. People around you sense that you are not desperate or dependent on their validation. You carry yourself with a quiet confidence. You might even become a bit mysterious, because you're no longer an open book spilling your every insecurity, nor wearing a false mask to impress. You're just yourself. And nothing is more attractive or inspiring than someone grounded in their own being. This connects to Jung's idea of archetypes, universal patterns in the psyche. One archetype is the lover who yearns and chases, and another is the sage or self that is content and whole. When you shift from chasing to being, you move closer to that wise, self-possessed archetype. You stop projecting fantasies onto others. Jung noted that we often project our unlived qualities onto other people. For example, if I don't nurture my own creative side, I might become infatuated with someone who's artistically talented, projecting an ideal onto them. We sometimes fall in love with what we've disowned in ourselves, which can make us chase people who seem to complete us. But when you integrate those parts, become more whole in yourself, you no longer desperately seek them in others. You appreciate others, but you don't pine as if they have a piece of your soul. This naturally makes you more independent, and yes, a bit more unattainable in the eyes of would-be pursuers. You're no longer living out the archetype of the eternal seeker. Instead, you embody the self, the archetype of wholeness. Let's consider relationships. Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." A healthy relationship is transformative for both people, but only if both come into it as individuals, as substances with their own shape. If one person dissolves completely into the other, loses themselves trying to please, there's no true reaction, no balance. The relationship can't alchemize either person in a positive way. By being somewhat unattainable, meaning you retain your individuality and boundaries, you allow that dynamic reaction to happen. Each person can inspire and challenge the other, rather than one person simply fading into the other's will. In Jungian psychology, relationships are actually seen as a powerful crucible for individuation. Our connections with others will inevitably bring out our unresolved issues, our shadows, and push us to grow. But if we approach relationships from a place of wholeness, not from emptiness, that growth is so much richer. You're not looking for someone to fix you or fill a void. Instead, you're walking side by side on a journey of mutual growth. When you are unattainable in the sense of being emotionally self-sufficient, you also won't settle for relationships that diminish you. You'll naturally attract healthier dynamics and repel those who only seek to take advantage of neediness. Now, choosing this path isn't always easy. It can be lonely at first to step away from the crowd. The writer Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." There might be people who misinterpret your newfound self-respect. They might say you're aloof or distant because you're no longer at their convenience 24/7. That's okay. As Jung would remind us, individuation often requires differentiating from the collective norms. Not everyone will celebrate your growth, and that's when you truly start to learn who is meant to be in your life and who is not. Some friends may drift away, but the ones that remain or newly arrive will likely value you, the real you. Your relationships might become fewer but deeper. They're built on respect and authenticity, not on superficial approval. As the author and therapist Viktor Frankl wisely noted, for success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. In plain terms, the more you chase things like love or validation, the more they elude you. But when you focus on your own purpose and values, those things can follow as natural side effects. You've probably heard a common anecdote. Someone desperately looks for love for years with no luck. Finally, they decide to just enjoy life and work on themselves. And bam, they meet the love of their life in a coffee shop when they least expect it. This is exactly what Frankl and Jung suggest, that the best things in life happen when we're living authentically, not when we're consumed with grasping for them. To echo the ancient wisdom of Lao Tzu, by letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. Let go of the frantic need to be liked, to be constantly present for others. Let go of chasing and turn that energy inward. You'll find you achieve a sense of peace and self-possession. And ironically, that's when life starts coming to you. People invite you rather than you begging for invites. Opportunities knock instead of you desperately hunting them. Being unattainable changes everything because it signals to the world that you are enough as you are and that you respect yourself. So how can you apply this in a practical, caring way? Start with small steps of self-respect. Maybe you set a boundary the next time you're asked to do something that feels wrong for you. Maybe you take a weekend to yourself to reflect or do what you love. Instead of always catering to others' plans, try sitting with yourself in moments of loneliness or anxiety and offer yourself compassion rather than immediately seeking distraction or reassurance externally. As Rumi, the Sufi poet, beautifully said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Work on those inner barriers, the fears, the self-doubts, the parts of your shadow, and you will become someone who radiates a love from within. That love will attract others, for sure, but by then you won't need their validation. It will simply be a sharing of mutual respect and affection. I invite you now to take this to heart. Maybe tonight, grab a journal and reflect on these questions. Where in my life am I over-giving or over-chasing? What would it look like to pull back and focus on myself there? What fears come up when I consider being less available? And how can I gently address them? Write down your thoughts. You might share a realization in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences with this. Have you tried being a bit more unattainable and noticed changes in how people treat you? Remember, this is a journey of self-discovery. It's not about rejecting others. It's about embracing yourself. When you do that, you emanate a confidence and peace that naturally changes how the world reacts to you. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into Jungian psychology and the power of being unattainable. If you found this insightful or empowering, consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Join our community of fellow journeyers who are turning inward to awaken. And as you go forth, carry Jung's wisdom with you. Your worth is innate, and the moment you realize it, everything around you begins to change. Until next time, stay true to yourself.